Have you ever really thought about the connection between the content that you're creating and the sales that you make? Now, last episode, I spoke about how chasing engagement or solely being focused on engagement on social media is actually harming your business. And this week, I'm giving you what you need to be focusing on instead so that you're wasting less time creating ineffective content. Discover the difference between content built for engagement and content built for conversion, and learn how to integrate all your content touchpoints to create a holistic journey that moves your audience from not knowing anything about you to becoming raving, paying fans. And if you want to support yourself to do exactly this, then I have good news for you. My membership, The Content Effect, is now open. Head on down to the link in the show notes to find out more. Welcome to the Powerful Content Podcast, your go-to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So, if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show. I acknowledge the Wongal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country that I am recording from today. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waters. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nation people listening today. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 125 of the Powerful Content Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're doing well today. I have just got over the flu myself and I'm feeling so much better, thankfully, but expect to hear a less than 100% me in some of the upcoming guest episodes, as I decided to batch them whilst I was still unwell. Not such a great idea. But luckily, I put off batching my own episodes, otherwise you'd have months of me sounding a little bit weird. Anyway, enough about batching. Although, actually, if you do want to check out more about batching, you can go back to episode 16, which is called Should You Batch Your Content, for my insider tip on whether I think it's a good idea for you or not. So today's episode is a follow-on from last week's episode about social media engagement and why I think it's a fast, why you shouldn't get hung up on it, and how it does not represent in any way, shape or form your sales or your success. Most of all, I don't believe that engagement should be your sole focus with your social media or any content for that matter. There is a distinct difference between content that's built for engagement and content that's built for conversion. And on top of this, there's content that needs to come in between the two. So the question is, if engaging content isn't what you should be solely focusing on to get paying clients, how do you get clients simply from your content? Well, the answer to this is twofold, and we're actually going to explore one of these more deeply in a moment. But first of all, know that content is about a holistic journey. This is about using all of your content touch points in unison to move someone through the 5 stages from not knowing anything about you all the way through to becoming a raving paying fan, and using yourself holistically to bring your heart, your mind, and your soul to your content. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to know your strengths and really use them to your advantage by following a simple 4-step framework that keeps you consistent and visible without burning out or focusing solely on micro tactics such as engagement. So go back to episode 36 if you want to find out more about this. This means that even if you're hearing from experts out there that to get further in your business, you need to create a podcast and you hate speaking, then don't do it. This means that if you love creating in-depth articles, then please go ahead and do it. Once you've made the decision on the what to create, it's all about supporting yourself with the how to make it happen. Now, like I said, we're going to be focusing on the first step today, and that is the holistic journey. But before I go any further on this topic, there's a few things that I want you to know first. The first thing is When you focus on the human in your content marketing rather than the transactional number, you experience so much personal and business growth. Personal growth comes through forming genuine relationships, sharing stories, building that community around you, of connecting in a way only humans can, and coming together for a common cause. You'll experience business growth through the increase in sales and ease you'll feel when you're doing business and creating content in a way that really feels authentic and right for you. The second thing is when you bring more you to your content, you'll connect with your ideal client faster and have a much clearer message that works more quickly to take your ideal client through that journey with you. This is the key to powerful content. Content that's authentic, purposeful, and has intent. And lastly, when you focus on your strengths, your values, and your core beliefs first, whatever you do becomes easier. It's that simple. Okay, so let's talk about this holistic journey further. The first part of a holistic journey is using the whole you in your content. And if you want to know more about this, you can listen to episode 118, Easy Content with the Holistic Content Marketing Method. In this episode, I talk about how a holistic approach is when you take that really comprehensive and integrated approach to content strategy, which aligns your heart, your mind, and your soul, and thus making content creation far more simple. This method is about being aware of and using your personal preferences, strengths, and uniqueness, which is your heart, along with strategic thinking and purposeful processes, which is all about the mind, and meaningful connection with audiences that inspire, and that's the soul. So that's the first part, or the first perspective of the holistic journey, understanding you and then how you can purposefully use your content in a way that feels easy and aligned for you. Now, the second piece of a holistic journey is understanding all the different places where you can publish content and how they work together for you. It's all too easy to create and publish pieces of content in isolation without thinking how they all come together and work together. And an example of this in action is this launch that I'm going through at the moment of the Content Effect, my membership. I'm using this podcast, specifically the last 2 episodes, emails, the masterclass I delivered last week, Instagram, Facebook, my Facebook group, and LinkedIn together to talk about the challenges and how you can solve them by joining the Content Effect. I've given you small wins along the way, aha moments, like the fact that we shouldn't solely focus on engagement in our social media. And it's about understanding how to use your content powerfully to move your ideal client through a journey with you. And it's not about the micro tactics, but how everything fits together. So I've really focused on the nurturing part of the journey in the past couple of weeks. And now I'm switching into the convert seed. And hopefully you've heard or seen enough now to know that the Content Effect is what you need to support you through your own content or learning journey. And if that is the case, then make sure you go and check out the membership at thecontenteffect.com.au/the content effect. Now, I also use this approach, this holistic content approach, when I'm outside a launch period, but in a slightly different way. What I love to do and encourage my members to do is to choose a theme each month and make sure that I'm using my content in a way that meets all parts of the client journey around that theme to make it super simple for me and super simple for my ideal client to understand and go on that journey with me. So I'm creating one piece of core content, my podcast, each week or fortnightly if you're just looking at the solo episodes. Then I reuse or reimagine, as I like to call it, this same content throughout the other places so that it all ties in and meets someone no matter what stage of the journey they are with me. Okay, so let's talk about this client journey a little bit more. Way back in episode 3, I introduced the client journey and how it works. But let's revisit it here. After all, that's over 120 episodes ago. So in essence, a client journey is a more heart-centered and consent-based view of the traditional sales funnel, which is solely transactional in practice. Now, I know that you've likely seen a picture of one. It's an upside-down triangle, and it basically says that the numbers that you can shove into the top, less the numbers that drop off or spill out the sides, equals the numbers that purchase. Tick, great, move on to the next person. There is often very little respect for the human that you're dealing with at the other end of the content that you're creating. And in my books, that's just not okay. By simply acknowledging that there's an actual real human on the end of every piece of content you create, and that when you focus on a relationship approach to content marketing, rather than one that's built on transactions and numbers, you're going to experience business and personal growth. Personal growth through the forming of genuine relationships, sharing stories, and building a community around you, which is something that I know big-hearted entrepreneurs love to do, and they are so good at as well. And you'll experience business growth through the increase in sales and ease you'll feel when you're doing business and creating content that feels just right. So instead of viewing this whole process as a funnel, I want you to view it as a journey. So the client journey takes your ideal client from not knowing anything about you all the way to becoming a raving, paying fan. We're walking with them, guiding them along a pathway so that we can connect with them. They subscribe to our email list, we nurture them, they convert, and then we onboard them. So to give you a bit of an analogy, instead of standing on a stage with a megaphone, yelling instructions and hustling people and bossing them around, we're down in the audience with them, interacting with them. There's a difference. It's not about you being in the spotlight. It's about thinking about them and interacting with them. The best part about approaching our content marketing from this perspective, besides the fact that it just makes sense, is that we are using conscious, driven, purposeful, and powerful content to move them along the journey with us. Yes, we're still using traditional sales funnel elements, such as the free content, the lead magnets, the email marketing, but we're approaching it with such a different energy. And then along this journey, what we're trying to do is come up with what your ideal client is thinking, feeling, and doing at each stage of that client journey. This is going to drive the content that you create and be far more strategic and waste so much less time. So let's look at the stages of the client journey. They are connect, subscribe, nurture, convert, and onboard. Now, connect is where your ideal client has just become aware of you. This is the real getting to know you phase where you have the opportunity to start meaningful conversations. This is often where the most engaged with content actually sits, because you're showcasing who you are and what you stand for, or letting your audience into your life a little to see more of who you are. And you know what? That's what it's all about, that connection piece. You can use social media. You can use your core content, which is a blog, podcast, or video, to start to introduce your message and your way of thinking. You can also use conversations in messages. You can use Facebook groups, either yours or other people's, and guest appearances or speaking opportunities as well. So subscribe is where your ideal client resonates with your lead magnet and signs up to receive it. Or you may have presented a challenge, a workshop, or masterclass like I did last week that they sign up to. This is really your opportunity to provide deeper connection and begin to show how you can solve their bigger challenges. Now you can use social media here to promote your lead magnet and email automations to help move them through the process. Nurture is when your ideal client is on your email list or following you on social media, or has subscribed to your podcast or video channel, and they are ready to learn more about you. They have taken that step to commit to learning more about you and your services. Your aim here is to wow them with value, with offers and solutions as well. So here you can use social media posts, email automations, core content that delves a little bit deeper, regular email marketing, or even webinars and 5-day challenges if your ideal client is already in your world. Now, convert is where your ideal client is making the decision to buy from you. And your job here is to help them make a confident and informed decision to actually purchase from you. So you can use things like free trials and discovery calls here, email marketing, your landing pages, social media posts, testimonials, and case studies. And lastly, onboard is when you have this brand new client and you need to help them feel good about their decision to purchase from you. Make their experience one that they want to tell the world about. And this is where you may use automated emails and processes to make it really streamlined for your ideal client. You could use VIP exclusive content or bonus content as well. Now, if you'd like to hear more about how you can use the client journey specifically with social media, then go back and listen to episode 8, Simple Social Media Plan Sorted. When we're thinking about our content from the perspective of what is the purpose of this type of content I'm creating, so whether it's a connect, subscribe, nurture, or convert piece of content, and how is it helping me move my ideal client closer to purchase,
then it's going to be so much more powerful. Whenever I do this piece of work with my clients or my members do the training on this piece of content strategy inside the content effect, it significantly changes their approach to content. Not only do they understand the purpose of each piece of content that they're creating, it allows them to further tap into the thoughts, feelings, and actions so that their ideal client feels seen and heard. If you'd like to access this training and other resources that can help you waste less time and be more strategic with your content, you can join us now inside the Content Effect. The link is in the show notes. So that's the holistic journey that you need to focus on rather than specifically looking at creating engaging content. Engaging content definitely has its place, particularly in the connect phase of the client journey, and the conversion content has its place obviously in the convert stage, but they're different. And there's other types of content that you need to present to your ideal client prior to them purchasing from you. As for supporting yourself, you can use a simple framework that I've spoken about in previous episodes that allows you to use your strengths and create content in a way that feels easy and aligned. You can find more resources on this also inside the Content Effect, including our live 90-day content planning sessions each quarter. So if you're feeling like there's very little time at the moment, you're scrambling, you're inconsistent, you procrastinate, you feel overwhelmed, or don't feel like your content is strategic enough, then I invite you to make it feel easier in a way that honors your strengths inside the Content Effect. This isn't a quick fix, cookie cutter approach to content creation and strategy because you, my beautiful friend, are a beautiful, unique individual. You'll feel fully supported by myself, the resources, and the incredible community. Doors are open until Wednesday, the 31st of July. I would love to see you there. Talk soon.
Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @meldbusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, hell Mel, stop talking, I'm ready to work with you now, here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating stand-out content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Hop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content.